I will be sharing with you guys my top 10 books in no particular order. So let's get right into this. First one, we have Hardship and Happiness by Seneca. Now, this book is amazing, and if you want to read Seneca at all, I recommend the University of College Press version because it has most all of his letters that you can find in any other translation, and you can just be a one-time purchase, and you won't have to buy the Penguin Classics book or the Shortness on Life book, which are just smaller versions but have a lot of the same letters. I think this one just bang for your buck and one-time purchases will be your best option. And Seneca's a Stoic philosopher and one of the best, I believe. And you definitely can't go wrong with reading this book if you want to get some wisdom and Stoic insights. Second, we have the Bible. Now, I believe the Bible is one of the greatest books for many reasons. Um, One, because I am a Christian, but also because of all the wisdom that is in this book and all the amazing stories that help you navigate life and give you rules for life. And I believe even if you aren't Christian, reading this book can help you immensely. You know, Gandhi was not Christian, but he read the Bible and he was very, very much so impacted by the Sermon on the Mount, particularly in Matthew when he says, if somebody slaps you, turn the other cheek to them. And obviously, you could see how someone like Gandhi would take note of that, and the rest of his life really turn the other cheek to being slapped. So that's number two. Number three, we have Atomic Habits by James Clear. I read this book a while ago, and it is very, very good and life changing if you're working on changing your habits to becoming better. And obviously, with the title Atomic Habits, it talks about small habits and changing these small habits to make big improvements. And this list will kind of be philosophy and self improvement books, but these are the books that I believe have been the most impactful to me and the most meaningful. There will be no fiction books on here because I just don't really like reading fiction books. I like reading about the real world. Not saying that fiction books are bad, but if I'm going to read, I either want to read about, you know, how to improve or philosophy or read something that's actually real. I don't really want to read, sci-fi or things of that nature. So if you're looking for some of those books in this video, um, I hope you stay around, but you're not going to get any of those. So if you leave, I understand. Next, we have The Four Agreements. Now, The Four Agreements is an amazing book, and it's actually under it says The Four Agreements, wisdom book. And I believe there's a lot of wisdom in this book. I have a video about the Four Agreements if you want to hear a little bit about this book. I don't go over too much what's in the book, but I go over the Four Agreements. And if you're looking for a little intro into this book, I recommend watching that video. And I recommend watching this or reading this book if you want a light read, but you want some powerful things that you can implement into your life right then and there. Next, we have The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. Now, Ryan Holiday is one of my favorite authors, and I think he has a very good writing style. And like Robert Greene, talking about history, but then bringing lessons in with the history so you can kind of internalize it easier. And it's a really easy read. So that's one reason why I really like Ryan Holiday. And The Obstacle Way is an amazing book to help you overcome obstacles and see how they're happening for you and not to you. Next, we have Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, and I recommend the Gregory Hayes translation. I've read one of the other translations and a little bit of another translation, and so far I'd like to say that this is the best translation. So I highly recommend that you read this one. But if you can't get this translation or you have another translation, I think it's still valuable to read this book. It's one of my favorite books, very light read, and it's like Proverbs in the Bible, essentially. It's just Proverbs of how to live life, and just for a little backstory, if you don't know, this book is Marcus Aurelius's The Emperor of Rome journal. It wasn't ever meant to be read, and it wasn't ever meant to be published. So it reads like a journal. So don't expect to pick up this book and have structured paragraphs and stuff. It's, you know, it reads like someone's journal would read, but the fact that it was the Roman emperors and just the meditations he had throughout his, you know, emperorship is profound, and I think very, very good insights on how you should live life and things you should live by. Next, we have That One Should Disdain Hardship by Musonius Rufus. Now, this book is very short, as you can see, but it's very powerful, and he's another Stoic philosopher. As you can see, I really like Stoic philosophy, and all the Stoic philosophers, I believe, are amazing. But this Musonius Rufus is very overlooked, I believe. Um, he was Epictetus' teacher, if you know who Epictetus is, and Musonius Rufus was one of the only philosophy teachers at that time who let slaves and women in his class. So that's why Epictetus was able to attend, because he was a slave. So just for that fact alone, I like Musonius Rufus. But he has amazing insights in this book, and it's a very short read, very light, and very powerful if you can implement these into your life. Next, we have The Analytics by Confucius. This book is amazing. It's also another Proverbs-esque book, but I think Confucius is a very wise person, and he's still affecting Chinese culture to this day. A lot of things that the Chinese culture still have is because of Confucius, which was over 2,000 years ago. So it just goes to show you how powerful this man was in his wisdom. And we're lucky to have a book of somebody like that. And again, it's another light read, and it's a great philosophy book if you're just trying to get into philosophy. And yeah, I highly recommend that book. Then we have Rules for a Night by Ethan Hawke. Now, this book is very, very good and very interesting how it came about. Essentially, it's a book that a knight wrote to his family, his daughter and son specifically, before he went off to battle. And in that battle, well, I guess I won't I won't spoil the whole thing for you, but yeah, he wrote this book to his son and daughter before he went off to battle. And the fact that it's a book nowadays is because Ethan Hawke found it in his attic. Ethan Hawke's an actor, if you know who he is, but he found the book in his attic, and he got it translated and he published it into a book. And it gives, I think, like 21 rules for how to be a knight, and they're amazing rules and amazing epithets to live by. And I highly recommend this book because, you know, it's kind of like if you read Ryan Holiday. It tells story. He's in this book. He tells stories to his kids, but with a overlying message to convey. So it's easy to remember a lot of the stories, and great message. And then the last book we have is Epictetus's The Complete Works, and I recommend this version because there's the Penguin's Classic version, which is only his discourses, and I think fragments is in there, but this version has something called the Handbook, which is another thing that Epictetus wrote. So, like as it says in the title, the complete works is all of Epictetus's works in this one book. So, same thing with the Seneca book. If you want to just bypass having to buy like 4 different books, you can just buy this one book and you have it all. But the translation is different. So, I've read um, I have Epictetus's discourses, and I have another book called The Art of Living by Epictetus, and they're all amazing. But both of those books are what is in this book. So if you want to bypass having 3 books or buying 2 books, then just buy this one book. But you know, I think reading other translations is actually very beneficial. So if you really like this book and you want to see it translated in a different way, then I think you should get the Penguin's Classic. And if you want to see like a newer translation of I forgot, it's a girl who translates The Art of Living, but it kind of just goes over the handbook, I'm pretty sure, in this book. So if you like this one, try to give the other translations a read. I think it's very beneficial to read other translations, as I said. But yeah, that's the 10 books I highly recommend. And obviously, as you saw, it's a lot of Stoic books, a lot of self-improvement books, and philosophy books. And these are just the books that have impacted me the most in my life. And all these books have definitely changed my life. So I don't wanna give you mediocre books. I want to give you life-changing books. And for me personally, Stoic philosophy and the Bible and self-improvement books have changed my life. So those are the books I want to recommend to you guys. And I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you guys pick up these books because I truly think they will change your life.